Welcome everyone to the Real Estate Experience Podcast. Super excited as always. Those of you on the YouTube, you know the next steps. Hit that subscribe button and also notification bell. And on each and every one of these episodes, I provide my own experience shares and bring on other high achieving investors who are in the industry. So today we've got Paul Worcester, who was on, and did I pronounce that correctly?
Perfect. Yeah,
okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Paul.
you for having me, Sterling. Great to be here.
So Paul is here in the Kansas City market. He has been involved in the syndication space for quite a lengthy time and has been involved with well over 4,000 units and with the assets under management valuation of $400 million. So quite a bit. So Paul, could you give everyone just your SparkNote version of your story and where you came from and what's ultimately shaped you to who you are today and how you got into real estate?
Yeah. So graduated college 2005. A friend had given us Rich Dad Poor Dad. We read that, and myself and my two younger brothers came to our father, who is a pastor of 35 years, and we said, let's go into business together. So a series of family meetings. Next thing we knew, we were in business. My dad put a second mortgage on his house, gave us his life savings of $200,000. We took that money. We grew up in Oregon, and we moved to Kansas City almost immediately.
And what time period was this?
So we started the business in 2006. We bought 16 units in Salem, Oregon, and then by 2007, we had moved to Kansas City. So that's all we bought in Oregon, and then the rest was all in Kansas City. And so we moved to Kansas City because we thought it was a better market for cash flowing real estate. And so we started very small. We were buying old, dilapidated, inexpensive, small multifamily properties, duplexes, four-plexes. Over a 2.5 year period, 2007 into 9, we bought about 40 of those. And creative, owner financing, no money down, bank deals. We didn't have money because we were living off that money. So we're living on nothing. So we were borrowing money from friends and family at that time to grow our real estate business. We built a nice little portfolio of 120 units, about 40 properties, and we realized that we needed to get scale. We were like, this is going to take a long time.
And you're just grinding it out this whole entire time and just figuring it out. Did you have someone that was able to show you the way, or you're just...
We had a bad mentor. I always say there's good mentors and bad mentors. I think the bad is as valuable as the good because we learned a lot of what not to do. So we had a bad mentor along in the way, but we read every book we could. We talked with people, but we just did it ourselves, and we made a lot of mistakes. And so we learned. Fortunately, the mistakes we made were not fatal. They were mistakes that we were able to, that hurt, that was painful, we lost some money here, and then we moved on to bigger things. And by the time we bought our first large apartment community, we bought a 60 unit in 2009, and then a few months later, in late 2009, we bought a 96 unit. And those are the first bigger properties we bought. Once we bought those, it was like, we're never going to the smaller stuff again, because it takes a similar amount of effort. Similar amount of due diligence and time and putting the deal together. The legal fees, the loan costs, all these things are similar costs on a four-plex versus a 100 unit, and the cash flow is much better. And so then we just continued to grow that portfolio in Kansas City. We eventually acquired 4,000 units, became top 10 largest apartment owner-operator in the Kansas City area, syndicated about $80 million from private investors that we knew, and been in that business for about 13 years now.
And so with all of this, how did you have any limiting beliefs when you started, or you guys just started taking action? You got that check and said, all right, let's go out there and figure it out.
I think both. I think we absolutely had limiting beliefs. We grew up lower middle class. We always had enough, but we didn't have a lot growing up, and we played sports, and so we learned.
I would say, are you a fullback?
I did not play football. I played basketball was our sport.
Gotcha.
So
could you dunk?
I could not dunk, and we were limited. We're guards. My brothers and I were guards. I'm the second tallest, but So we had we had built a work ethic. We'd been through pain and learning how to work together as a team. But we'd never. I mean, I didn't know. If you'd asked me, we started our business when I was about 24. Much before that, if you'd asked me what a business owner was, what an entrepreneur was, what an investor was, I didn't even really know. So we just learned, and we took baby steps, and we had faith, and we were willing to make a lot of mistakes. But I think one thing we did is we pivoted quickly. When we made a mistake, it was like, touch that stove. We made that mistake, and then we pivoted, and we didn't make that mistake again. So that was really
So
important.
What was one of those mistakes that later set you up for success? You did, and you're like, okay, we're not going to do that again.
Well, I mentioned this. We chose a wrong early partner. We lost money in that relationship. Was not a good relationship. So we learned a lot about who to partner with. That was really, really critical early on. We bought poorly early on. We were underwriting. It's going to cost $1,800 a unit a year, to operate on this, and it was ended up being $3,000, and we're like, we just didn't know. We had no idea how to underwrite a deal.
When you were first starting, was it like back of the napkin rules of thumb?
We asked around. We would ask management companies to help us. We would, look at other properties. But yes, it was basically us. One of our first deals. The 60-unit deal we bought, the rents were, I still remember this, where it was in St. Joseph, Missouri, were $240 average. It was a 60-unit deal.
You said $240?
Yes, I know that seems incomprehensible. 40 of the 60 units were occupied, and the average of those 40 units was $240 a unit. Now, the market rent was $500 to $550. So, almost immediately, we just bought the property and just got in there and filled those 20 units up at the higher, and then just quickly rolled through those others. And within less than a year, we had that property, at like a 500 plus average rent.
All right, so Paul, speaking on mistakes, what was one mistake or failure that you encountered that later set you up for success?
Well, underwriting was a big one. Our assumptions in expenses and how to operate a property were way off. Fortunately, we bought so well at the time that it covered, buying well covers a multitude of sins or mistakes. And so I just always look back to, at the time we were, the highest level of ignorance and making our mistakes as young guys. We were fortunate, just dumb luck, that the market had just fallen off a cliff when we were buying in 2009. I think that's coming. Something like that is coming in the next, coming years with after this COVID and
just making a prediction there, everyone.
I don't think it'll be like 2008, but I think there will be opportunities. Right now, if I'm looking at multifamily, it's hard to find great deals. It's nothing like when I was looking in 2009 through 15, where we bought about 3,000 to 4,000 units in that time. Well, to 2017, 18, we bought about 4,000 units. It was much easier to find value opportunities, discounted apartments. You can still find them always.
But even more difficult, you got to turn over a lot in order to find those gems that work.
And there's just more people out buying. So to give you an idea, in 2009, our fourth deal we bought, it was a 150 unit deal. It was listed, fully listed. It was bank owned. It was they had not fully repossessed the property, but it was under receivership, and but it was 90% occupied, stable property. We were like one of 3 people to tour the property.
Today that would have been 30, 40, highest and best.
Yes, absolutely, all those things, and the buyers were mostly local, Kansas City. Whereas Kansas City now, we'll get buyers all over the country and even
the world
even coming to Kansas City. So it's changed. The market's different.
Yeah. And so with that what would you say has really helped you along your journey? So you mentioned you had your brothers that you were working with. how did you figure out, especially at the beginning, who did what? Because I feel that's what most people have difficulty with.
Like everyone, trial and error. You try this, you're a little bit better at this, you do this. But we all did a lot of it. I mean, we didn't really...
Multiple hats.
Yeah, we didn't even have titles for many, many years. We didn't have titles. It was long hours, just get the work done kind of a mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so through that is you've got your product now that is simplified. So what did you see? Because what I've experienced and what you also saw and you ended up addressing it is in our industry, it's very dinosaur, and a lot of the things that we've done for the longest time. So what was it that you identified?
So along the way, we built a traditional management company of about 140 people. So we were buying, investing, managing apartments, and the pain that I experienced every day in the industry, I actually set out 3 years ago. I said, surely there's someone out there in Silicon Valley or something that's building, a platform to solve these problems. So I went out and looked for many months to find that we're going to joint venture. And we said, hey, we'll bring 3,000 units and we'll partner in some way, collaborate. It was nowhere to be found. So that's when I began looking for a tech partner. I met my co-founder, Jake, and we founded Simplify as the first tech-enabled multifamily property management company. So we help owners make more money and get better data. That's the promise that we make to owners. And really, Simplify is the fruit of the outcome of what I always wished that we had as an owner and as a manager of apartments. Because to have some humility, we had a management company. I mean, we're supposed to be good. We're supposed to be the experts.
And so you guys were self-managing all when you were starting, and you saw, wow, there needs some innovation here. There needs to be.
Yeah. So the industry, the quickest, best analogy I can make is if you go back to 2010 and you're in the taxi cab industry, you're hailing a taxi cab through the phone book, or you're calling,
or you're at the airport and then you
on one of those calls. And at that time, people don't know this, but there was a whole ecosystem of software companies and support companies working with the taxi cab companies. I know one of them that was very successful. There was this whole ecosystem. Well, we know what happened. Uber and Lyft came in with a simple one-stop solution. They destroyed the taxi cab industry,
wiped them out,
but they also destroyed all these other supporting software companies. That's what's going to happen in our industry. So if you're in the management industry, you understand there's property management, people and offices and maintenance people, and there's 290,000 companies. Think about that for a second. There's way too many companies. It's highly fragmented. We do not need that many property management companies. They're all about the same. And then there's all these software companies. Their customer is the property management company. Okay?
Gotcha.
My thesis...
And you mean software such as property management software is Propertyware?
Yeah, I mean everything from AppFolio, Resman, to payment solutions like PayLease and Rhino, deposit replacement, and on and on and on. There are literally hundreds, and most of them do one or two little niche pieces. No one has stepped into the industry and says, I will take responsibility for all of it. So you're an owner, you come to us, and we are your one-stop solution. We save you money. We're going to reduce the price, the cost, into a flat monthly cost. You know exactly what it is. So what we actually do is we collapse your P&L. Typically, when you see a P&L with a chart of accounts as an owner, it is hard to read that thing. There's so many things. I was an owner and had my own management company, and I didn't know what some of the line items in there were. I'd have to look, what is that? I mean, what is that? Like, we're paying for the apparel for our employees, or it was an employee party, or the apartment association. There's all these fees, admin and IT, just on and on and on. Simplify just covers that in one simple monthly fee, and then we give you better data.
Got it.
So we have about 37 employees. We have 1,000 units now. We'll be at about 2,000 units here in the next quarter, and we're growing. And our customer is the owner, not property management companies.
Gotcha. And I'm walking through his office here. Really like the setup. He's got the purple shirt, also the purple shoes too. I wish you guys could see the shoes. Fantastic on that. So I've got some quick rapid fire questions for you, Paul. The first one is, what is one common myth that you see in the syndication space that you can debunk?
One common myth. Well, it's not easy. It's doable. Oh, okay. Here's one. I hear you've got to go get the money first. You've got to. And in my experience, what we always did, we did not have a network of wealthy people to call on originally.
Gotcha.
So we didn't have that luxury. The deal drove the money. So we put, as a percentage, this will shock some people that are maybe early on, and I'm not saying this is the right way, this is our way. We put something like 90 to 95% of our efforts into deal finding, and then value improving, repositioning those apartments.
So this was more of the philosophy that when you find the deal, the money shall come?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, once we found that deal, we worked really hard to get that money. I'm not saying it was easy, but we didn't go raise money until we had a deal under contract. I see a lot of people putting out all this effort, and they don't even have it. Not only do they don't have a deal, they're not even close to getting a deal. Like they don't have putting in offers. They're not close to getting a contract. And I would just caution someone: the deal wins. If you control that deal, then the money will find you, I think.
Got it. And that's always the chicken and the egg approach that people are. The same thing with brokers is, and I want your thoughts on this. How does someone approach a broker when the broker wants to see that you've done deals, but traditionally you want to go through broker to get deals? How does someone overcome that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a magic in that. I think it's do what you say you're going to do, return calls, be respectful, be diligent, be someone who is prompt. If you say you're going to send an offer in, do it. You build rapport and trust with brokers because a lot of people don't do those things. And so when we were starting out, and I think also manage expectations. When we were starting out, we weren't offering on 200 unit properties on our very first deals. We were offering on four-plexes, and then eight-plexes, and then 15, and then 60, and then 100, and then 200. And so we kind of evolved up. And whenever we got a deal, we always put it on our bio. And it's like I always put the date of the closing. I put the broker, the seller, whoever was involved, and I included that on our LOI. So they'd see.
You guys definitely want to take note of that. Of course, everything else that Paul's mentioned, all the bombs that he's dropped, but definitely you're leveraging that as credibility.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, they just bought a deal 4 months ago, and it was, I know that broker, and it immediately adds credibility. And because the brokers, the number one thing, they want to close that deal. And they want to do it in an efficient, manner.
Because they're on the line if they go to the seller and they're vouched for you and you don't close it, and plus they don't get paid as well.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And so, what is one absurd or unusual thing that you enjoy doing?
One absurd thing I enjoy doing.
Mine is bird watching.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
I enjoy bird watching.
I will not beat that. Okay. That's really cool.
I would not recommend. So I like to go to different places with my binoculars and watch. Do not recommend doing it in any neighborhoods. Oh. So that's one thing everyone...
Good advice.
Yes.
All right. That's the take. I agree with that. The only thing that comes to mind, I won't say this is absurd. But I love coaching. My daughter plays basketball. And so it's really important to me. I carve out that time to coach her basketball, and I don't work during those times, and so that's really important time for me and my daughter to spend time. And then my son goes to the practices, so he helps out. So it's kind of a nice family time that I get to have. Yeah.
And one last question is, why do you believe we're here on Earth, Paul?
Oh, I believe we are here because there's a Creator God that has a purpose for us. I believe I'm here because He has a plan for my life, and I'm there to serve my Lord.
Awesome. Well, for those of you, if you are not already familiar with Paul, everyone that I meet has nothing but great things to say about you, and also I feel a good energy from you. So, Paul, I definitely appreciate you being on. Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Paul at simplify.com via email, and we're in Kansas City, and love to connect with you if you're around here. Thanks so much for having me. It's a great experience.
For sure. So as mentioned, those of you on the YouTube, don't forget, hit that subscribe button that's just below there, or maybe on the other side. You get where I'm going with that, and that like and notification bell. And it's very simple to hit that like button, and also give Paul, reach out to him. Great guy, definitely someone you will want to connect with. So keep being awesome, y'all. Have a great one. Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Experience. If this has brought you any value, please subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to me. Now go out there and crush it.